There are some places in the wilderness that become so familiar, you truly stop seeing them. Every spring, I paddle through the border lakes just off Prairie Portage on my way toward the distant reaches of Quetico. They're part of the route, beautiful, dependable, but often overlooked in the rush to reach somewhere else. This year, I decided to do something different. With border crossing restrictions keeping many travelers away, these lakes felt almost forgotten. Instead of passing through, I chose to stay a while. My trip started out as a one-week solo expedition with a planned meetup at a pre-designated campsite on Basswood. The incoming voyagers were motored from Lauderells to Lincoln Island, which is right on the edge of the paddle-only boundary. During the solo part of the journey, familiar signs of spring began appearing everywhere. Water temperatures were climbing, migratory birds started appearing, tributary creeks were flowing, and smallmouth bass were gathering on gravel shorelines, preparing for another spawning season. The wilderness was following a script which has been played out for thousands of years. But my story is just beginning. 2 years earlier, I had discovered a secluded campsite with a private adjacent bay lined with exceptional spawning habitat. The experience became the centerpiece of a video named The Healing Waters of Basswood. Now, here's where the magic really begins. A friend of mine has been wanting to undergo a Basswood base camp fishing trip practically his entire adult life. Once I showed him that video, he was committed. Even went so far as to bring along a friend who is celebrating his 80th birthday. What unfolded over the next several days wasn't just a canoe expedition. It was a celebration of perseverance, camaraderie, and the simple truth that some adventures are worth waiting a lifetime to experience. So come along on another exciting paddling adventure. With the planning behind me and another wilderness season finally underway, there's only one thing left to do: push away from the dock. Lauderells has always been a place where adventures begin and end. As paddlers return, they bring stories of changing weather, good fishing, and memorable campsites. One of the first people I met that morning was a super dad, preparing to head into the boundary waters with his 3 boys. You could see the excitement in their steps, but I couldn't help noticing something else. The air of responsibility on Dad. He wasn't just taking another canoe trip. He was leading his precious boys in a challenging wilderness environment. Others are just heading out, full of anticipation, wondering what waits beyond the next portage. Towboat leaves the shoreline behind, carrying me across the broad waters of Moose Lake toward Prairie Portage. Every mile feels like another step away from the routines of everyday life and a little closer to the quiet that draws me back here. Then, almost on cue, as I arrive at Prairie Portage, the float plane touches down with the seasonal ranger aboard. It's a reminder that another season is just beginning for the paddlers, for the park staff, and now for me. My journey starts here. Leaving the broad, wind-swept waters of Basswood behind, I slipped into the shelter of the first protected shoreline and headed for the North Portage. It's a route I've traveled many times, but today there was no rush. Just beyond the trail waited Sunday Lake and an island campsite that was quietly held on to 20 years of memories. It felt like the perfect place to slow down and let the wilderness set the pace. For me, the first day or two in the park isn't about covering miles or catching fish. It's about slowing down. Life at home runs on clocks, schedules, and deadlines. Out here, those things begin to lose their grip. I find myself moving more deliberately, thinking through every task before I do it. When you're traveling alone, there isn't anyone to catch a mistake, so patience becomes part of your safety. These quiet days are some of my favorites. I'll strap up a tarp only if the weather calls for it, wander the island, usually barefoot, and simply take in my surroundings. I'll read for a while, study the maps, watch the changing weather, and make small adjustments to my gear until everything feels right. And throughout most of it, I make sure I'm on my feet and moving. Years ago, I pulled up to this same island on Sunday Lake with my two brothers. For them, this was a step into a world they really hadn't experienced before. But what they did bring with them was a lifetime of athletic ability. Both were competitive gymnasts throughout high school and college, and the strength, coordination, and balance from that sport translated perfectly into wilderness travel. It didn't take long. Leaving Sunday Island, I slipped quietly back into the water, retracing my route across the lake toward Singing Brook Portage. Before long, Sunday gave way to Burke, and once again, I found myself following the narrow waterways that eventually lead back to mighty Basswood. It's a journey I never grow tired of. Every bend in the creek reveals something new. Beaver engineering, quiet marshes, alive with bird song, and water so clear you can watch the wilderness unfold beneath the canoe. Ahead lies one of my favorite campsites along the border lakes. I think of it as a barrier island, perched on the edge of Basswood's vast open water. It's a natural gateway between the sheltered backwaters and the immensity beyond. What makes this area so special isn't just the scenery. Several creeks pour into this corner of the lake, bringing cool, oxygen-rich water and nutrients that attract bait fish. And in turn, you know what that means. I've camped here many times over the years, and every visit feels like coming home. It would once again become my base camp as I prepared for the next chapter of this journey. Once camp is set, one of my favorite parts of the trip begins. Before I unpack too much, I always take a slow walk around the island. Part of that is practical. I'm looking for dead trees, hanging limbs, or signs of old lightning strikes. A beautiful campsite isn't always a safe campsite, and when you're traveling alone, taking a few extra minutes is time well spent. But these walks have another purpose. The wilderness offers something that's becoming harder to find in everyday life. The chance to let your body settle back into its natural rhythm. I enjoy a little morning sunshine. I spend time simply wandering among the pines, listening instead of talking. And whenever conditions allow, I leave my boots behind and explore the island barefoot. Some call it forest bathing, others call it grounding. Whatever you call it, slowing down changes the experience. Every step becomes intentional. You notice the warmth of the granite, the softness of pine needles, and the scent of cedar drifting through the breeze. For me, that's one of the greatest gifts the wilderness has to offer. It's not just about escaping civilization. It's about reconnecting with the landscape, with the present moment, and perhaps a little with ourselves. So here we are on Basswood. We came over from Sunday today, and there's nobody here. And I will meet up with Tom and Ray, and my goal is to sit in the middle of their boat and guide them both onto the best bass fishing they've ever experienced. With a few quiet days before Tom and Ray arrive, I have the luxury of exploring a few different lakes on my way in. One thing I always look forward to this time of year is watching the annual progression of the spawn. Every bay, creek, and rocky shoreline tells a slightly different story. And after enough years on these waters, you begin to recognize the signs. So before settling into our rendezvous campsite, I decided to make a brief stop around the tributary outlets. Not so much to catch fish, but to take the pulse of the lake. The news was encouraging. The bass were right where they should be. Some had already moved into the shallows. Others were staging just outside, waiting for the water to warm a little more. Everything was unfolding right on schedule. If conditions held, Tom and Ray were arriving at exactly the right time. As much as I'd like to linger here a little longer, it's time to break camp. I pointed the canoe toward our next destination. The morning couldn't have been more perfect. Basswood lay calm, its clear water reflecting the endless sweep of Canadian shield granite. Ancient rock, sculpted by glaciers thousands of years ago. All this slipped quietly past the canoe, mile after mile. A short paddle brought me to our rendezvous campsite, where Tom and Ray would arrive in just a couple days. It was everything I anticipated from past experience. Quiet, untouched, and surrounded by prime bass spawning habitat. The following morning only confirmed it, as the rays of the sun filtered through the pines and spread across the campsite. I couldn't help but think that we'll be achieving our objectives on this trip. The first order of business was getting camp ready. I knew Tom and Ray would appreciate ending each day around a good campfire. Before long, the canoe had become a firewood barge. With the wood stacked and ready, it was time to settle in. The bugs were still light this early in the season, so for now, the tarp was all I needed. One of the things I enjoy most about arriving a few days ahead of the group is having the opportunity to organize camp without feeling rushed. Everything finds its place, and by the time everyone arrives, camp is ready to be enjoyed rather than built. As I looked around, I couldn't help but smile. We had a beautiful campsite, plenty of firewood, and perhaps most importantly, we were surrounded by some of the finest spring smallmouth habitat. The spawning bay is right here, and from what I'd already seen, the timing couldn't have been much better. Now, all we needed were two old friends to paddle around that point and turn this quiet little campsite into home.
Mark!
After days of traveling alone, this was the moment I'd been looking forward to. A simple handshake on a quiet shoreline, but one that represented far more than a greeting. Long before Tom and Ray pushed their canoe into the water, there were months of preparation, staying physically fit, acquiring and organizing gear, studying maps, and perhaps most importantly, having the confidence to believe they could still do something like this. The wilderness has a way of rewarding preparation, but it also demands good execution. Every portage you never had to do, every crossing, every decision along the way matters. Watching the three of us unload this canoe, I wasn't just seeing another camp being set up. I was watching a plan come together exactly as intended. Now, the real adventure could begin. If you've been away from canoe camping for a while, you'd probably be amazed at what's possible today. Advances in lightweight stoves, cookware, and food preservation have completely changed the experience. And then there's Chef Tom. Tom has turned camp cooking into something of an art form, and his menu is built around one simple philosophy. If you're going to push hard all day, you need to fuel that adventure. Ray and I looked forward to that first cup of coffee. Bacon and eggs often greeted the day. Lunch is always different, with lots of nutritious options, and dinner runs the gamut from chicken tetrazzini to chili mac and everything in between. One thing became abundantly clear. Nobody was ever going to leave hungry from Chef Tom's culinary tent. With camp established, there was only one thing left to do: go fishing. As I looked over toward the shoreline, Ray was already there, making a few practice casts. It wasn't just another afternoon of fishing. For weeks, I'd been thinking about this very moment. These fish had spent an entire spring preparing for the spawn, and because of the unusual circumstances, this bay has seen zero fishing pressure. The conditions couldn't be better. I climbed into the center seat of the canoe, camera ready. As the fish started coming in, it became pretty obvious that we hit the magic window that so many northern anglers dream about, the spring smallmouth bite. But what's really interesting is that this incredible fishing isn't just about hungry bass looking for a meal. What we're witnessing is one of the most important events in the life cycle of these fish, the spring spawn. As water temperatures rise, smallmouth bass move out of their deeper winter locations and begin moving into the shallow bays and rocky shorelines. The males arrive first, searching out the perfect nesting area, usually firm bottoms with gravel, sand, or scattered rocks. Once conditions are right, the females move in, deposit their eggs, and after fertilization, their role is mostly complete. They return to deeper water to recover. But the males, their job is just beginning. For days, and sometimes weeks, these male smallmouth stand guard over the nest, protecting the next generation from a long list of underwater predators, such as sunfish, crayfish, perch, and anything else looking for an easy meal. And that protective instinct is what creates the famous spring bite. Many times, these fish aren't striking because they're hungry. They're striking because something has entered their territory. A lure passing near that nest represents a threat, and their instincts tells them one thing: remove it. That's why, during this special time of year, almost every presentation can work. Crankbaits, plastics, topwater, spinners, even flies. Anything that gets too close might trigger that defensive reaction. And for a few unforgettable days each spring, anglers get to experience some of the most exciting fishing these northern lakes have to offer. But it's also a time for respect. These fish are the future of the lake. A quick photo, careful handling, and a healthy release ensures that this incredible cycle continues. After an unforgettable first day on Basswood, it was becoming clear that this trip was about much more than catching fish. For Tom, this journey started long before the canoe ever touched the water. It started 60 years ago with a young teenager, his father, and a map. In 1967, Tom's dad pointed out a special corner of Basswood, a place deep in canoe country that captured Tom's imagination and somehow stayed with him through a lifetime of wilderness adventures. And now, after decades of exploring Quetico and many other wild places of Canada, Tom was finally here.
As Dad had made many trips up here and had a love affair with the Quetico and the Boundary Waters, and came up here, started coming up here in the 1930s. As he aged, he recognized that we just can't do a lot of the portages anymore. And it's just tougher. He got this map handwritten in his handwriting that someday he would like to do a base camp. Here we are, so this trip is in memory of Dad. I hope he's looking down at us and just smiling.
After a first day on Basswood that exceeded even our highest expectations, morning arrived with one very important question. How do you fuel two fishermen who plan on doing it all over again? Breakfast was officially underway. The kind of meal that makes you forget you're sitting miles from the nearest road. But there's more happening here than just cooking. This is camp life, the morning routine, the conversations, the planning, the anticipation. Outside these screens, Basswood is waking up. Pancakes with pecans, cooked in ghee and topped with maple syrup.
We are on Basswood Lake Base Camp with my wonderful friends Tom and Mark, having a time of my life. So we're all shooting the bull up here and telling stories from years past. I'm pushing 80 years old, so I have a couple stories. One of them is kind of humorous. Back in the 1970s, my main man, my sidekick John, and I had been hunting in Fallon County, Montana, and it was time to go back to where we actually lived in Yellowstone County, Montana, and we were driving west on Old Highway 12, and John spots some ducks out on a reservoir with a thin skin of ice on it. This is late fall. And he says, I would like to shoot one of those ducks. And so we stop. He gets out and takes off over the hill, and I'm sitting. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. I'm starting to get a little concerned, but in about 45 minutes, here he comes back, soaking wet. He had shot a duck on the ice and then was walking out to get the duck, fell through, had to swim back with a shotgun and a duck. We went on to a town in eastern Montana called Miles City. It was on a Sunday, and people were just getting out of church. We pulled into a Dairy Queen. So we're sitting there in the parking lot, and he wants to check on something in the trunk, probably some more clothes or something. He opens the trunk, and this duck flies out. Okay, here's John. He's wearing in his skivvies, tearing around the parking lot, trying to stomp on this duck, which he finally does, puts the duck back in the trunk, and off we go. Here are all of these gentle folk, the Dairy Queen, with their mouths hanging open, just agog. Who are these people, anyway?
Oh my.
Reading the Boundary Waters magazine. There's an article in here on page 44 that Stu writes that really kind of summarizes why we're here. It's still a great place to go if you have limited mobility and if you don't want to do a lot of portages. It's still...
Speaking of Stu, it seems like you've got some of his equipment out here.
Oh yeah.
What's that right behind you?
This is the Boundary Waters Journal fishing pole case that I store 4 of my rods in.
So Ray over here, as he mentioned, he's turning 80 this year. And Ray, what are some of the things that you've done on a regular basis to maintain a level of physicality that enables you to be here?
Well, I think the main thing that I've clued in on in recent years is the adage, motion is lotion. So I try to get in some kind of aerobic and some kind of resistance exercises almost every day of the week. Sundays I take it a little easier, maybe have a beverage even. But yeah, that's my mantra for now. I have a wonderful wife and a miniature schnauzer dog. So part of the reason we bought the dog is to force us to go on an extended walk every day with no exceptions except for extreme weather. At our age, sarcopenia begins to dissolve our muscles, if we ever had any, at an accelerated rate. So resistance exercises are extremely important, along with getting plenty of good protein. So yeah, motion is lotion.
After several unforgettable days on Basswood, the time had finally come to start thinking about the journey home. Out here, every decision begins with one thing: respect for the lake. The forecast was giving us one more gift, a beautiful, calm travel day. But after that, Basswood was expected to show a very different personality. This is a big lake, and when the wind comes up, these wide open stretches can quickly turn from peaceful paddling into a serious challenge. Tom looked at the forecast, looked at the miles ahead of us, and made the decision that experienced wilderness travelers make. Take the opportunity the lake gives you. So instead of waiting another day, we would move closer to Lincoln Island and position ourselves for our scheduled pickup with Latterells. Tom and Ray headed out first, while I stayed behind to finish breaking camp and taking care of the refuse. About 30 minutes later, I pushed away from shore in my pack canoe and began the crossing. And what a morning it was. Basswood was almost hard to recognize. The same giant body of water that can create whitecaps and test even experienced paddlers was now a sheet of glass. Warm sunshine, calm water, a perfect final paddle. I figured with my lightweight setup, I'd eventually catch up to Tom and Ray. But there was just one problem. Nobody told those guys they were supposed to paddle like seniors. Somewhere ahead of me was an 18-foot canoe carrying 2 men, a mountain of equipment. And I never caught up to them until I reached the campsite we had pre-chosen. Proof that experience, determination, and a lifetime spent outdoors still count for a whole lot in canoe country. By the time I finally arrived, Tom and Ray had already done what experienced canoe travelers do best. They had explored the site, evaluated our options, and given it their official stamp of approval. Once again, it didn't take long for camp to take shape. The screenhouse went up, and just like that, Chef Tom's famous culinary tent was back in business. This campsite had a completely different feel. Our view opened to the southwest. Being closer to the edge of the wilderness, we did occasionally hear the distant sound of motors beyond the paddle-only boundary, a small reminder that we were gradually transitioning back toward civilization. But not quite yet. There was still one full day remaining to fish, and then the pickup. I was rushing around, trying to get ready to go out fishing with sandals rather than barefoot. What happened was that I was moving down toward the water, and as I descended, I used a foothold that was fairly pitched, but my foot shifted within the sandal. That began a cascade effect, and I was on my way down to the ground, lashing out for a safety line to stop my descent, when my middle finger caught on something, thankfully, as it slowed my fall so that my knock on the noggin by this monster of a granite boulder was just a pain-free tap. The force generated by the momentum of my descent caused that one finger to become dislocated, broken, or both. It wasn't extremely painful, but the disconnect, combined with swelling, gave it a grotesque appearance. When I landed, I took a moment to gather myself and couldn't determine if the finger was broken or just dislocated. When I broke the news to the guys, Tom immediately consulted his expansive first aid resource. We had the proper procedure, pop it back into place, but my worry was that if the finger was broken, we would only make the situation worse by pulling on it. Since we were so close to the border, I opted to contact Bob Lotterell to see if he could extract me. A quick message to Bob, some coordination on his end, and before long, I heard the sound of a boat coming across Basswood. There's our hero! And just like that, my Basswood adventure had taken one final, unexpected turn. Instead of one more day with Tom and Ray, I found myself riding across Basswood with Bob Lotterell, headed back toward Prairie Portage, Moose Lake, and eventually the Ely Hospital. Not exactly the grand finale I had pictured. This trip ended with one simple slip of my foot, the result of wearing the wrong type of footwear, along with moving around quickly and carelessly. Fortunately, the news was good. The finger wasn't broken, just badly dislocated. And after one quick and very memorable moment with the doctor, everything was back where it belonged. Basswood had left me with one more story to tell. And maybe that's the perfect ending. The trip had everything. And two amazing guys who proved that passion for adventure doesn't come with an expiration date. So until the next journey, keep paddling, keep exploring, and never stop discovering. So here we are. These gentlemen just returned from the Boundary Waters trip. When
It was 8 days through the knife. Oh, no.
Kiki, I couldn't say that.
fishing.
Fishing was fair.
Fair?
We ate a lot of fish, lake trout, walleye. You had to figure them out first, right?
And
So we spent a lot of time figuring them out. Then we catch them enough to eat, but it was good.
anything extraordinary happen?
We got a new dessert.
Oh,
We
yeah.
had apple taco oatmeal.
Oatmeal cinnamon tacos.
Oh God.
Apple pie.
Apple
Okay.
pie.
Yeah.
And then
And jalapeno poppers on the fire last
Oh yeah, those are good.
wildlife. See any good wildlife?
John, don't tell him about the grouse.
Yeah, we grouse were doing their thing. Right
Oh,
in the campsite, yeah.
oh, really? Would you?
We let them alone.
Oh,
We let
oh,
them do
I thought you said you ate one. No.
No.
Yeah.
We let them-
And then did you make that canoe?
Me and my father did.
Oh man, look at that!
20 years old.
Look at that! It still looks good too. So here's the A team. You guys.
I'm Gavin.
Yeah, my name's Cade. I'm from Ely.
I'm Brock. I also grew up here.
And you guys are towing a lot of people out here right now.
It's been very busy, yes.
Would you say most people are going in the Boundary Waters or Quetico?
Boundary Waters,
Yeah, because of the RABC
yeah,
situation.
nobody can get up there. Nobody can get You can get the
Right.
permits.
And you know, I noticed myself that all the lakes that are normally crowded are empty.
I know, yeah.
That's why I'm going to kind of stick to the border this trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
That's
can find
great.
any deserted lake you want.
You guys are the best. So here we are at Lauderdale's, and this fine gentleman took great care of me, helped me get all loaded up and everything. And he has an interesting story. He's not your typical summer help.
Help is a strong word, but my name is Marvin. I'm from Naperville, Illinois. I retired air traffic control 4 years ago. My wife and I were looking for some adventures, and we're going to spend the season up here cleaning gear and driving towboats and carrying canoes.
And spending some time on when you're off, right?
We're going to try.
Yeah. Thinking back to your own experiences, what's your greatest adventure up here?
Up here every fall we do the border route. Not always the whole thing, but most years from International Falls, Crane Lake, or like Entry Point 14, Loon Lake, and go all the way to Lake Superior via the Pigeon River and the Grand.
Are you kidding? That's some big trip.
Look on Facebook for the Bear Brigade.
Bear Brigade.
That's what we call it.
Okay.
And Water Tribe is another word you could look up.